Okay, I'm live. Hope everyone's having a good Friday night or Friday evening. Depending on what part of the country you're in. Actually, I guess it could be actually late afternoon if you're on the West Coast out there on the Pacific side of things. I guess if you're over here on the Atlantic side of things, you're looking at 6 o'clock here. If you're in Ontario, it's 5 o'clock. Hey, if you're on the Rock, bye, then it's actually 6:30 over your time. And it's definitely dark over there. Well, it's getting dark earlier and earlier, as you folks probably know. Actually, around what, 5:30 ish, starting to get dark here on the old East Coast, the Atlantic coast. Anyways, like I say, I'm just going to just give a little time for some folks to join the stream here. Got some really important stuff to discuss. Here's a little teaser. An actual article. Believe it or not, I know I had to pinch myself. It's like, is this real? Is this real? And it really is. I don't know how this happened. I don't know how it slipped by, but there's an actual article that I'm going to be referencing here. It's going to be the first one I'm going to be referencing. And yes, it's out of CBC News, but it's a submitted opinion piece. I don't know. Once again, I don't know. I have no proof if anyone there at the CBC actually watched my videos, but it's almost these days, it's getting quite weird actually these days. I'm not sure if you folks are privy to have you ever been looking for something or talking to your wife or your kids or a friend or family member or someone or a neighbor or a coworker, and an electronic device happens to be around and you talk, hey, I'd like to get myself, I don't know, a new smartwatch, let's say, right? All of a sudden, next thing you know, there's all kinds of advertisements for smartwatch everywhere. It's like, coincidence? I think not. Anyways, once again, well, we know that's algorithms and the fact that you know, these devices we're using in these social media platforms, they basically have access to the microphone and camera and stuff. So we all kind of get it, right? The gist of it, and a lot of it's just targeting advertising, right? Nothing more, nothing less, nothing more nefarious than targeting advertising. But we also know that there's a kind of a flip side of that surveillance or trying to find out what other people are thinking or doing. And we know there are some nefarious actors out there doing that. But once again, this I can't say one way or the other, but I do find it quite odd or coincidental. It's just a matter of lucky timing, I guess. But I just happen to be pointing out, boy, it'd be really nice. I don't even know. I might have mentioned in my last live stream. Basically, it'd be really nice. Well, I said, I think it was something like more along the lines. Well, if you start to see people like myself, right, being able to submit opinion pieces that push against these mandates and restrictions, right, then you'll know that we're getting on the other side of things and we're going to be doing much better. Well, apparently that day hath come, right? Apparently. Now, once again, it is just one submitted opinion piece to CBC. As you folks know, I pay attention, right? And it'd be nice to see more than one, but hey, at the very least, we are seeing one. So let me. I think we've given enough time here. What do we got here? That's basically 10 after. If people haven't trickled in by now, it's probably because the old YouTube has not been notifying, and that's quite unusual. Not. It's quite usual actually. It's funny actually because I on my smartphone, I'm actually no other place but on my own smartphone just for the hell of it, just to see how it works because I'm getting notified. Although you think the algorithms would recognize that, yeah, the guy that owns this smartphone is the same guy that owns the channel. But I've even noticed on my own notifications on my own, and I've clicked all for my own. I've subscribed and I've clicked on the notification, the bell icon, and I've clicked on all. And even myself, I find I'll get notifications for my live streams or my videos. I've been recently, as you folks probably aware, I've uploaded a few standalone videos, and even those, I'm obviously not getting a notification when I'm live streaming, so I should say my videos. But yeah, I just don't see it until like sometimes like a day later, even. So I don't know why. I have no idea why that is. Why I have my suspicions, of course. But anyways, there are reasons and issues that affect people getting notified of my live streams. And that's why I usually spend the first 5 or 10 minutes at least of live stream, just kind of doing stuff like this so that I can give people time to hopefully get a notification. But if they don't, they don't. It is what it is. Anyways, since it seems like tonight might be one of those nights, without further ado, I just can't wait around because, like I say, if I wait around for YouTube to actually waste any of their time and resources, actually help me in any way, I'd be well, it'd be a long wait. Anyway, so let me get to this article, like I say, that I was referencing. Bring it onto the screen with the heading. Bring it up here. And once again, like I say, it's a submitted opinion piece. So obviously no one that's actually part of the CBC, right? And of course, which is a sad state of affairs already on its own. The fact that not even one person, at least with Post Media or every once in a while, even with Global News or the Globe, every once in a while you get a submission from at least one person in there that seems at least kind of quasi care about, our inherent inalienable rights and freedoms. But CBC, it's just a big old nothing burger constantly. I wait and hoping but anyways, like I say, at least let's just enjoy what little bit we're getting here in terms of, at least, like I say, maybe it's them just dipping their toes in the water. Maybe it's just a big nothing burger and they're just throwing us some red meat so to tamp us down, right? Who knows what the reason is behind it? But there it is, folks. An opinion piece submitted to the CBC with a headline on COVID restrictions. Our governments keep firing up the gas lights and shifting the goalposts. Gee, I think. Yeah, the psychological warfare, the gaslighting, and shifting of the goalpost. Yeah. You're preaching to the choir here, but I'm definitely willing to listen. Alan Richards, that's who's reporting this. That's who's the submitter of this opinion piece. The sub portion of the headline: if you give the government an inch on your rights, they will go for the mile every time. Sounds like a man that I could definitely, sit down and have a conversation with for sure. Anyways, like I say, submitted to CBC Alan Rickards on December the 3rd, 2021. This column is an opinion by Alan Rickards, a privacy lawyer in Toronto. For more information about CBC's opinion section, please see the FAQ. So once again, this is a lawyer. So obviously this privacy lawyer obviously cares about privacy. And the fact that he's a lawyer was allowed or was wise enough or understood legalese enough to be able to submit an opinion piece to the CBC and stick within the confines of what's allowed to be said, I guess. I don't know. Once again, just speculation on my behalf there, folks, but I'm still trying to get over the fact that this was actually allowed to be released on the CBC network. It's a sad state of affairs that that's even the case, because as you'll see, it's just common sense, just reasonable stuff. But anyway, so here we go. Listen closely, and one might be able to discern the unmistakable sounds of our elected and unelected officials frantically firing up the gas lights and moving the goalposts on COVID restrictions and vaccinations. It was a precipitous but inevitable shift from 2 weeks to flatten the curve to get the jab or lose your job. And unsurprisingly, there's still more to come. Once again, almost kind of repeat what I said. Anyways, once again, it's just, and by the way, folks, most of you are probably aware, but yeah, when they have these words or sentences or part of the sentences highlighted in blue like this, that's because you can click on an actual link for that. So once again, just to let you know. Oh, and actually, before I continue on, I just wanted to point out that doing a little tweaking of the setup, trying to make things a little bit better and brighter, or trying to get some lighting going on here. Right? Even for myself, I've been upgrading the lighting for the studio, and like I say, trying to get the setup as best I can. And actually, I'm still right now today streaming. This will be 720p, but I'm going to dip my toes in the water maybe the next stream or very soon, anyways, and start doing it in full 1080p. And now there's a lot of new features that have come out from StreamYards, and I got to tell you, I can't wait for some of them do actually come online. One of them already has. I tried it out earlier. It's a little glitchy yet, but it does that whole blurring. Now, my camera kind of blurs the background just a little bit as it is, but you know, those videos or those live streams that you watch and the whole background is blurred, looks very professional with the person very clear and in focus and the background blurred. Well, StreamYards has actually brought that feature to StreamYards, and thank you, StreamYards, for doing that for you fine folks over there. In addition to the great Black Friday special or Cyber Monday special, really appreciate that. You can get, as you can see, I still have the watermark up there where it says StreamYards, but they were running a $10 per month promotion. And other than the fact that they leave that watermark up there, which is actually not as obtrusive as it used to be, you get a whole lot of extra features. But that blurring of the screen is already one that is on there. But once again, I'll just wait until maybe it's been perfected yet. I'm just not looking forward to having any glitches or things happening to the stream, because I know some of you folks, you'll just move on and find other people to watch if you have those kind of issues. So I'm trying my best to try to keep the streams up and running and doing well. And with my new Starlink setup, it seems to be doing much better than it used to in the past. So anyways, just wanted to point and mention that stuff. And no, I'm not getting paid for advertising. Matter of fact, I pay for streaming. So anyways, but let me get back to this article. It was and unsurprisingly, there's still more to come. Oh yeah. Okay. So met the provincial vaccination targets. Great. But now it's time for a booster. Ready for the temporary vaccine passport system to expire? Sorry, we need to extend it through the spring. Proving once again that if you give the government an inch on your rights, they will go for the mile every time. Oh, once again, kind of get you right here. Right here. Nice. Yeah. And like I said, look at that. Right? Obviously, they had provincial vaccination targets. Well, we know in New Brunswick we did, and we passed and exceeded them, and yet we're in lockdown and restrictions and all these mandates and all the vax pass and all that stuff. So, liar, pants on fire, right? Right. And get ready, but now it's time for a booster. Oh, yeah, get ready for the booster. Actually, before I continue on any further, speaking of the booster, let me just bring this up for you folks and show this to your vaccinated friends. Chances are they probably wouldn't watch my stream because they've been told that people like myself, we're just bad. We're just bad people, right? But, maybe if they trust you or you still have a relationship with them in any way, you can pass this along to them, right? Because, yeah, you ain't never getting out of this, folks. Ain't never. Here it is. Right here, folks. Can you see that? Let me just make sure that it's popped up here. Yeah, and this is out of the independent UK publication, of course. And as you can see, with a headline under the news health section, reported by Jane Kirby 10 hours ago. I believe this was actually yesterday or so. So it's fairly new, a day or two old. And once again, all these will be in the link, placed in the link, the description of the stream. But yeah, annual COVID booster jabs will be needed, says Pfizer boss. It is not yet clear whether the vaccines will need to be tweaked every year for new variants, as happens with the annual flu jab. So they're already, look at they're already leading you there, folks. And we already know that the double vax, not enough. You got to get your booster already. We already know that. And the booster was only going to be right for the extremely vulnerable. But look at it. Now it went down to it was down to another. They moved the goalpost a little more. And now, like I say, in January, I think they're saying it'll be available for everybody. So yeah, but especially like I say, all the people, I don't want to insult them by calling them sheeple. I really don't want to do that because not all of them are. And I don't want to be a collectivist, right? So I won't accuse them all. But I got to tell you, a lot of people, right, went out there and rolled up their sleeve and got those vaccines, whether the 1 and 2, not first dose, second dose, based on the belief. And that's exactly precisely what they believe is, I don't really want to get them. But if I do, at least we'll be able to open up. At least I'll be able to get my freedoms back. Well, no. And you can't blame the unvaccinated for that. And that's a terrible, terrible excuse anyways. That's the thing. And that's been proven to be a misnomer as well, considering the unvaccinated, the unwashed, right? Soiled, whatever you want to call them, right? The decrepit, the deplorables, right? They're not allowed to go out there anymore. So who's spreading all the virus around? Yeah. Yeah. Well, we all know, right? Don't say it too loudly there, folks. Don't want to get ourselves in trouble. But we suspect, anyways, right? We have our suspicions, and actually even evidence from these social media sources have come to light and have to admit that, yeah, the holier than now, yeah, they're spreading that stuff around too, right? Or more so, actually, I would say, than the unwashed, considering the unwashed are basically all trapped in our homes or, restricted to very few places where we can frequent these days, right? Anyways, I'll bring that, I'll take that back off, and once again bring back the other article. I just wanted to show you folks because, yeah, like I say, there's so much information available today. Well, if you just aren't up to speed and knowing the kind of stuff people like myself and the people that watch my streams on a regular basis, my videos, if you're just not there, well, just like that meme I've shared around a gazillion times, in the age of information, ignorance is a choice. And it truly is, because you can be properly informed, or at least much better informed than you are right now, if you're just paying attention to the established media or established news organizations or the established political or ruling class. Now, like I say, there are those of us out here who are countering the narrative and offering up not just information, but evidence to shed some real light on how much deception has been taking place by not just the medical class, but the political class and the media class. It's all there, folks. It's just a matter of leading the horse to the water. Now, of course, you can't make a drink, but yeah, we can at least try to lead the horse to the water, right? That's what I'm trying to do. Trying to lead minds to information to help them out best I can. Okay. Sorry, we need to extend it through spring. Okay, yeah. So, less than a year ago, government and public health officials touted vaccination as a panacea to end the pandemic. See that? And once again, that's because the media actually did do that. Oh, you just got to get the vaccine, then we'll be able to be free again. If you just get the vaccine, well, first started with the vaccine, right? And then it was, oh no, you got to get 2 vaccines. But once you get the second one, man, trust me, you're going to get your freedoms back, man. Right? Don't worry. Just double dose up. We'll give you freedoms back. Well, how'd that work out for you? As if, right? It's safe, effective, and will allow the country to put COVID behind us. Oh, look, another one. We were told. To that end, citizens were encouraged, prodded, and eventually threatened to get their shots, with holdouts demonized by politicians at all levels. Oh, by the way, yes. So, yes, that's the other part, right? With the unwashed, the unvaccinated. Yeah, the holdouts, how they were demonized by politicians at all levels. And not just politicians, I'll add. The establishment media, many of those who represent the establishment media. And when it comes to that kind of stuff, let me just bring this particular article bring it up and show you what one of the world's foremost publications, and I mean the elite of the elite here, folks. I mean, top of the barrel, right? Or top of the pile in terms of medical journals and people who are in the know. And what are they saying about the stigmatizing or the constant bullying towards the unwashed, the unvaccinated? Here, let's just read it and find out. So this is out of The Lancet. And once again, this will be placed in the link as a link in the description of the stream below. COVID-19 stigmatizing the unvaccinated is not justified. Gunter Kampf. This was published November 20th, 2021. And this is the actual article here. In the USA and Germany, high-level officials have used the term pandemic of the unvaccinated, suggesting that people who have been vaccinated are not relevant in the epidemiology of COVID-19. Officials use of this phrase might have encouraged one scientist to claim that the unvaccinated threaten the vaccinated for COVID-19. But this view is far too simple. There is increasing evidence that vaccinated individuals continue to have a relevant role in transmission. In Massachusetts, USA, A total of 469 new COVID cases were detected during various events in July 2021, and 346, 74% of these cases were in people who were fully or partially vaccinated. 274, or 79%, of whom were symptomatic. Cycle threshold values were similar low between people who were fully vaccinated, median 22.8, and people who were unvaccinated, not fully vaccinated, or whose vaccination status was unknown, median 21.5, indicating a high viral load even among people who were fully vaccinated. In the USA, a total of 10,262 COVID-19 cases were reported in vaccinated people by April 30th, 2021, of whom 2,725, 26% were also asymptomatic. 995, 7% were hospitalized, and 160, 1% to 6% died. In Germany, 55, I don't understand these, whatever. Is that supposed to be a decimal or whatever? 4% of symptomatic COVID cases in patients aged 60 years or older were in fully vaccinated individuals. And this proportion is increasing each week. In Munster, Germany, new cases of COVID-19 occurred in at least 85, 22% of 380 people who were fully vaccinated or who had recovered from COVID-19 and who attended a nightclub. People who are vaccinated have a lower risk of severe disease, but are still a relevant part of the pandemic. It is therefore wrong and dangerous to speak of a pandemic of the unvaccinated. Historically, both the USA and Germany have engendered negative experiences by stigmatizing parts of the population for their skin color or religion. I call on high-level officials and scientists to stop the inappropriate stigmatizing of unvaccinated people, who include our patients, colleagues, and other fellow citizens, and to put extra effort into bringing society together. So, right, like I say, right there, and look at all the references from the Lancet, right? Article info, and they got the references. So here they, like I say, folks, this constant stigmatizing or blaming the unwashed, the unvaccinated, well, like I say, the narrative at this point, it seems like it has been lost. And the truth is definitely out there. Okay, get back to sharing that article. Actually, before I do, let's just see if any of you folks have joined the stream as of yet. I see there's a few so far. Let's see what's going on. These colors don't run. What time did the stream start? It was 6 o'clock Atlantic time, 5 o'clock Eastern time. So that would be, it's 5 Eastern. What's that, 2 on Pacific coast? But yeah, 5 Atlantic time. Or 5, Eastern time, 6 Atlantic time. That I know for certain. And if you type any of this stuff into your Google bar, it'll tell you what the time is in your particular time zone. Or if you don't use Google, I'm pretty sure it works in most other online search as well. Okay. But yeah, so 6 o'clock Atlantic time, 5 Eastern time. Lone Bear. Hi, how's everyone doing today? How the heck are you doing, Lone Bear? I'm doing good. I hope you're doing well. Bill Ranger's doing good. Thanks for joining the stream. By the way, you folks, I really appreciate that. Thank you, Reverend Jones, as well. Good Lone Bear. Coffee House Technology. Hello to you. Very nice. And thank you for joining this stream. Hey, Rika. Always great to see Rika in the stream. Good evening to you. I hope you're having a great night. And I hope you're having a great evening. And I hope you're going to have a great weekend. And a great life for that matter. Why stop there? Right? Raw Dog. It's time the Lancet writes an article of value. Well, that's pretty, yeah. Oh, yeah. That was pretty good. I liked it, right? Okay, so that's about it there. So like I say, must be that not many people are getting. Why, thank you. Really appreciate that, Coffee House. Anyways, like I say, probably not enough people are getting the notification, but that's okay. Maybe they'll get a chance to watch this later. So let's get back to this article at hand, like I say, because I find it interesting at the very least, right? That someone is actually putting this stuff and doing like myself, right? Well, if I was writing it in written form, I would definitely be placing all these links too, right? To back up and verify what I'm trying to say. That's kind of really important, right? So this person has done a great job of not just articulating his thoughts, but like I say, placing all those links right there to give to people. I mean, just this one article alone could help so many people, right? Okay, and to get there at all levels. Yet in Ontario, even as the province exceeded by weeks its vaccination and case number targets of the government's phased reopening plan, citizens were offered only breadcrumbs in return, moving up phase 3 opening by just a few days with no plans at the time for a complete reopening. Well, tell me about it. Well, here in New Brunswick, it's even worse. We have so far exceeded. It was supposed to only be, what was it, 75%. Once they're 75%, right? But yeah, we're well in excess. What is it here in New Brunswick? In the high 80s. High 80s, folks. What is it, like 86, 87% fully vaxxed, right? Wow. And yet, yeah, back into more restrictions, mandates, the vax pass, all that crap, right? Can't go out enjoying time with other people in restaurants and stuff unless you got the number, right? Unless you got your QR code, right? Which is another thing. It's QR codes. Actually, let me bring up that too. Actually, now that I mention it, might as well get through as much of these things as I possibly can. Because yeah, these QR codes, gotta tell you, folks, seems like a great way, and this is actually from New Brunswick, great way for them to track you. I mean, think about what your smartphone is capable of doing. Think about the technology inside that smartphone. And think about what governments could do with not just that technology, but having access to the data from your phone in such a way, right? Anyways, let me stop this. Okay. Bring that one up. And it's just that New Brunswick's behind the times, which is typically normal. But yeah, so here, even in New Brunswick, province to launch vaccination QR code scanner app within weeks. QR code intended to complement current options for proof of vaccination. This was reported by Renali Anchin, December 2nd, 2021. Anyways, like I say, well, I won't read that. It's just basically letting you know that the QR code thing. And that's basically, like I say, very invasive as far as I'm concerned. I don't care what excuse they tell you. Oh, we don't do this, we don't do that. Like, yeah. Sorry, I just don't trust governments. And why in the heck would I? Right? It's filled with a bunch of lying politicians, right? I said, actually, that was that was redundant speech. Lying politicians. That's redundant. Right? Okay, back to this article. So, see it safe. Okay, where are we at here? Breadcrumbs, phase 3 opened by just shooting, no plan time. Okay. And now the new case numbers. Oh, okay, here we go. Okay, by just a few days with no plans at the time for a complete reopen. Okay. Goalposts shift again. And now with new case numbers in Ontario, essentially split evenly between unvaccinated and fully vaccinated, and questions about waning vaccine efficacy, the goalposts shift again with the rollout of booster shots elsewhere in the country and calls for expanded eligibility. So, right? I mean, look at it. And now with new case numbers in Ontario essentially split evenly between the unvaccinated and fully vaccinated. I mean, come on, folks. Come on. I mean, this is the thing. So why target the unvaccinated other than just to be petty tyrants and authoritarians, vindictive ones, because they know they can't control us. That's what it is. The people who want to control us know there's no way they're going to do it. So they'll try everything possible. And matter of fact, they'll try to make the people around us, not just our lives miserable, but the people around us, make their lives miserable as well, right? To try to force, bully, or intimidate. Now, I got to tell you, in my own personal situation, that's why I've worked all these years, right? In building personal relationships, right? Cleaning up my room, as Jordan Peterson said so many times, right? And I definitely agree with him. That to me has been one of the most important things I've done in recent years. Not just educating and informing myself as it pertains to individual liberty and the philosophy of such, but making sure that I am personally in a position or a situation where I can minimize as much as these impositions or effect of these mandates and impositions in my life as much as humanly possible. Doesn't mean I'm going to get to the point where they're not going to affect me at all. But I got to tell you, folks, they definitely don't affect me nearly as much as they affect a large, substantial portion of my fellow Canadians, the population as such. Why? Because once again, I've made strident efforts and big attempts. Well, like I said, I worked really hard to make sure that I surround myself with really good people, really great people who respect me, people who, won't rat on me. Like if they see me like not wearing a mask outside somewhere or whatever. Not saying that has ever happened, that I've ever broke any rules or restrictions. I'm just saying, making sure that financially, socially, I'm going to be okay. Basically, I'm going to live as free as possibly can be, even in the face of all this stuff. Why? Because my life and my future and every day, those things are so much more important to me than just, I want to help my fellow Canadians. And I try to reach out to them on a regular basis. But the ones that don't, it's like, okay, hey, I tried. But I'm always going to continue to work on and improve my own situation, or those who truly want it, or those I truly care about, or who I respect as well, right? That to me, and I would suggest that to each and every one of you, build your personal relationships up, right? Lead by example, right? Be a good, decent, moral, upstanding person. Speak out, right? Do all the things. And like I say, you have to be consistent in them. You have to be as relentless as our opponents. And you have to, like I say, be in a position where you can do so without having to cower in fear. That's, I think, is the biggest thing that's preventing most Canadians these days, is they've unfortunately for them and for the rest of us, placed themselves in such precarious situations. They don't have the capacity, the willingness, or the audacity or the courage to speak up, because it's just going to affect them too negatively. There's going to be too many hardships imposed on them as a consequence. And that sucks. I get it. That sucks. But that's why, like I say, you got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do. And I've offered some much needed advice. I've gained some much needed advice, and I've taken it and I've offered it reciprocally to a lot of Canadians. And if you haven't as of yet, well, I definitely recommend that you start doing so yourself. And I got to tell you, there's people other than myself that are willing to help you in that journey. So whichever it's got to take, even if you got to, like I say, reach out to me personally in a message or in some form or fashion for some help, like I say, I'm more than willing to help as many people as possible, because that I also recognize helping others also helps myself, right? And those I care about and love. Anyways, back to this article. Let me take a little sip. Okay. And now with new cases in Ontario. Okay. The goalpost shift again with the rollout of booster shots elsewhere in the country and calls for expanded eligibility. One does not need to look hard to guess what the next step will be across Canada. In Israel and France, the definition of fully vaccinated was changed to include boosters. Those 6 months out from their second dose or first booster are now considered unvaccinated. So those 6 months out from their second dose or first booster are now considered unvaccinated, and their vaccine passport privileges are suspended. So, like I say, so the holier than thou, and I shouldn't say that to everyone, but just the people that did what they were told, not even working out good for you folks either. So, I mean, like I say, and I mean, you can get mad at me, I suppose, for pointing out the fact that your government, your thought leaders, the media proponents who got you to go along with this stuff, they lied to you. They straight up looked you in the eyes and lied to your face, basically, right? Or maybe not straight into your face, right into the camera or whatever, right? But yeah, they lied to you. So, I mean, it makes no sense to get mad at people like myself. I didn't do nothing to you, right? Your politicians, like I say, your thought leaders, they did a lot to you. They've been wreaking havoc on your mind, body, and soul, I would imagine. You should rightfully be pissed off about that. And maybe you should take that anger and that frustration and use it for good, rather than, like I say, targeting the unvaccinated or people like myself who haven't done anything to nobody, right? How about you once again take some of that pent up energy you seem to have? Because there's a lot of people with some pent up energy out there. You can see it. You can see it in the comments, or at least the comment sections that are left that are allowed still, right? CBC, Facebook page. Anyways, but yeah, take some of that pent up anger and frustration and don't waste it. No, don't waste it. Just don't use it on people like myself. Use it towards, like I say, the politicians and the media pundits and the so-called health experts who've been lying to you and deceiving you all along. That's where you should be using your or taking out your frustrations. Verbally and in a nonviolent manner, I will add that, right? I will add that because, yeah, violence is not going to get us anywhere except in an even worse situation. No, I mean by articulating your thoughts with words, right? By using freedom of speech. And even if they try to suppress that freedom of speech, well, the whole point of inherent and inalienable rights is you have to recognize that you have those rights and nobody has the authority to take them away. Now, if they take them away and you allow them to take it away, well, okay, that's, whatever. But at the very least, speak openly, vocally, and as much as possible while you still can. That would be my suggestion. One does not need to look hard to guess where the next. Okay, so yeah. There is, of course, the popular rebuttal that these goalpost shifts are entirely above board as the science evolves. But that exposes the flaw inherent in government's COVID response. For nearly 2 years, debate and dissent from burdensome COVID restrictions have been short-circuited with demands that citizens trust the science. A modern take on debate diffusing exhortations to support our troops during the war on terror. Exactly. So they're using it's basically the same rhetoric. So back, after 9/11, they used the rhetoric, support our troops. Don't question anything. Don't ever question anything. Just support the troops. Just shut up, sit down. Hey, aren't you a patriot? Sit down, shut the fuck up, and support the troops, right? Remember? Don't question anything. Well, it's the same now, except they use trust the science rather than support the troops. But it's once again another way to tamp down or deny people like myself from having a voice, or people like this from having a voice. That's, at the end of the day, what it's meant to do, is to stifle dissent and to, once again, put into the minds of the masses who read these, or not this kind of article, but the typical CBC article, it's meant to trick you into thinking that, it's the unvaccinated. It's the people who aren't going along. It's their fault, right? Oh, no, we're holier than thou. We in the media, we politicians, which is so weird. I mean, how messed up you got to be to think, it's just your neighbor. He's the, or whatever. The one that's never done anything to you ever in his life, right? Negatively, right? Never sought to control you or steal from you or all that stuff. No. And he's always nice to you and all that stuff. No, that's a bad person because they're not vaccinated. But the politicians, the professional liars, and the media pundits who've been lying to our faces for decades now, no, you should trust them and forgo your neighbor. Like, what a weird thing. Tell you, folks, statism truly is a religion in every sense of the word. Every infringement on citizens' privacy, mobility, autonomy, and conscious rights have been justified by officials in the name of the infallible technocratic might of the science. And isn't that true? As if the science, like, that's the thing. What is the science? There's so much science that I read that's readily available. And basically for anyone now, you can find this stuff that completely goes against all these mandates and restrictions and passports. I mean, but apparently they're not following the science anymore. This is the thing, folks. Whether they even were at any particular time, I don't know. It seemed kind of up in the air for me. But they sure as heck don't seem to be following the science now, do they? Oh, same with shutting down travel from South Africa. Now we're finally learned, like I say, problem, reaction, solution. Look at what the government does. And overreaction. Shut down the border after the fact. And we already know at this point in time that virus, Omicron transformed. Like, what a weird name for it. Anyways, it's already, once you've tested and found it, it's too late. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure that one out, right? When you talk about international travel and and how many people travel all over the globe every day from all these jurisdictions and destinations. But once again, it's just something to trick the ill-informed or the unquestioned, those who unquestioned things, that don't question things. It's just to trick them into some, lulling them into some false sense of security, because it's not going to do a thing. I mean, there might be something. That's the thing. You can always find, oh, well, it slowed down by what? This, by a percentage, but meanwhile, it's not stopping. So what is the point? What is the point? Other than, once again, to virtue signal and to make a bunch of wannabe bureaucrats pretend that they're actually doing something constructive or productive. That's about it. But yeah, totally agree with this, gentleman. Totally agree. But when proven wrong, or more importantly, unpopular at the polls, that formerly rock-solid science on which officials acted is simply dismissed out of hand. Isn't that amazing? It isn't. So whether they're proven wrong, which, as we know, has been happening so many times, I've done it myself numerous times, right? Recorded in full audio and video. And apparently that's still not enough. Weird. Anyways, or more importantly, unpopular at the polls. So either way, whether they're just proven wrong or just it's unpopular at the polls, the formerly rock-solid science on which officials acted is simply dismissed out of hand. Isn't that quite amazing, huh? Policymakers, however, cannot, on one hand, demand unyielding adherence to science and then down the road simply hand wave away their previous demands on the grounds that their knowledge or political fortunes have evolved, right? I know it must be nice to always have an excuse, right? It's always have an excuse for everything. That must be a great thing. Well, that's what it is to be a politician, right? Or someone in these, some of these bureaucrats or media pundits. It is for this precise reason that checks and balances exist in governance to prevent rule through unaccountable technocrats, appeals to authority. Let me read that. It is for this precise reason that checks and balances exist in governance to prevent rule through unaccountable technocrat appeals to authority. Debate and dissent in the age of COVID, however, have become four-letter words. And if that ain't the truth, they will not, like I say, they will not allow proper debate or dissent. And that's how you know that these people are a bunch of lying, deceiving tyrants, sociopaths, and authoritarians. I mean, I got lots of words to describe them. You can come up with your own, but I got to tell you, I mean, the fact that they're unwilling to allow genuine debate or dialogue to actually take place, or dissent, the voices of dissent to even be heard, that's how you know. Because if they were standing on solid ground of science, nothing could knock them over, but yet they're scared to death of having even anyone challenge the narrative. That speaks volumes, regardless of how many letters there are in the words. On public health officials, our public health officials and elected politicians should not, at this point, expect any benefit of the doubt. Considering that we are still taking our shoes off and binning bottles of water at airport security 20 years after 9/11, that government officials and their unelected mandarins are unwilling to cede their newfound power in the age of COVID should not come as any surprise. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well said. Indeed, officials have shown they are not above apparent falsehoods to further their aims. Last week, Ontario's Chief Medical Officer of Health, Kieran Moore, justified the immunization of children between the ages of 5 and 11 by claiming hospitalization and case counts for that age group were increasing. Yet, according to Ontario's own data, there had been 0 hospitalizations in that age group in the past 2 weeks at the time of Moore's statement. Like I say, folks, all these links are right here, right? All right there for you, right there. So all you got to do is, like I say, once this live stream's up, or actually, yeah, once I've got all the links attached to that, you can use this and try to help educate and inform as many people as you can. And I get it's very difficult, especially for those. I mean, we're never going to properly educate or inform or change the minds of those who've dug in their heels, who are willing to forgo anything objective and just because they're picking sides, right? You know what I mean? We know those people. Forget about it. But there's got to be some people in your immediate vicinity, in your community, in your family, maybe a friend, maybe a coach. There's got to be somebody out there who could genuinely benefit from learning this kind of information and having all access to all this data and information at their disposal. So, like I say, that's I'll do it. I put it here for anyone because, yeah, in the age of information, ignorance truly is a choice. So that's a blatant lie right there, right? Always another threat. As the American Civil Liberties Union once knew, yeah, because they've kind of changed things around. There will always be a new disease, always a threat of a new pandemic. Accordingly, the number of boosters or the percentage of fully vaccinated citizens needed for a return to normal will always be N plus one. Meet one metric and be met with two more. As the ACLU continues, if fear or disease justifies the suspension of liberties and the institution of an emergency state, then freedom and the rule of law will be permanently suspended. Like I said, folks, you never gain those freedoms and liberties back. That's why it's so vitally important. And when people like say something negative or insulting or derogatory towards those of us who are standing in defiance of these oppressive mandates and restrictions and standing in full defense of our liberties, our inherent and inalienable liberties, to insult us for doing so, yeah, that just doesn't go over real good with me. And you got to really wonder what in the hell is wrong with these people and what are their intentions behind doing such things. Already we see public health officials priming the pump for the next goalpost shift. Even if vaccine uptake is high among 5 to 11-year-olds, it will still be not good enough. According to Dr. Theresa Tam, Canada's chief public health officer, toddlers under the age of 4 will be next to need the shots, claiming with an absolute lack of shame that unlike all the other times we were promised an end to the pandemic, vaccinating that group will be a turning point. Actually, speaking of that, Theresa Tam, I actually did have an article up here. So let me just check that out. Might as well, since we're just flowing right along here. Actually, let me just check into the comments for a couple minutes, and then well, let me bring this up first here. Let me bring this up so I don't forget. Don't want to forget. I do get myself onto some tangents and doing a few different things and multitasking, which kind of messes me up at times. Where is that? There it is. There it is. So let me share it, but I will take it off for now. So I'll take it off for now and I'll just check out the comments, like I say. Okay, let me scroll down here. All right. Whoa. Oh, I see. Oh, why is this? Okay, there we go. I see Fraser. I see I got a super chat. Hey, where'd my super chat go? There it is. There we go. Fraser McBurney. Hey, sir, how you doing? Thank you very kindly for your generous donation. Once again, I really appreciate it. You're right about sitting on your butt. Get up and join me and friends this Sunday at 12 noon in front of Hamilton City Hall. Come join us and have some fun. Right on, Fraser McBurney. I'm going to leave your comment up there, for a little while longer, actually, just until I get to where I got to find the rest of them. But yeah, I definitely agree that people need to get up and join others and standing up for their freedoms. Come on, folks. Come on. We got to do this. It's really important. Even myself, I'm trying my best here, and I'm going to be doing, even more going forward because I too recognize we have to do as much as humanly possible. I mean, it's our liberties, it's our freedoms. I mean, how is this not the most important? One of them, well, it's definitely one of the most important things. I mean, it's hard to say love or liberty. Like you probably need one to get the other. I don't know, once again, but liberty is definitely right up there for me. Okay, let's see what else we got here. But thank you once again there, Fraser, for the donation. And yes, definitely, folks, join him and help fight the good fight, folks. Crew Luke. Hey, what's going on, Crew Luke? Hello from Ontario. Nice stream. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And actually, if you haven't liked the stream already, and if you wouldn't mind subscribing to me and maybe sharing this as well, that would be great. Really appreciate that. But anyways, thank you, Colin M. Good afternoon from BC. Still earlier out there in BC. Might not even be dark yet out on the old West Coast. Any thoughts on Raging Dissident? Hmm, is that another channel? Not sure. I think I remember that actually. It's the thing. I read so much stuff in the run of a day, never mind a week and stuff. It's hard to remember, but Raging Dissident. Sorry about that. These colors don't run. I really am. Um, I'm not even sure. Not even sure on that. Hello from Miracle Beach, BC. Hello, Healer, Alma Bay. Hello. Thank you for joining the stream as well. Fraser, thanks for posting that. I hope there's a Rebel newsworthy turnout. Yes, me too. Me too. Rebel's great for, at least going out and covering these things and giving people at least some kind of a voice, right? Really great to have them. Just 2 more decades to flatten the curve, but only if you get 2,000 boosters for variants. Exactly. Yeah. No, Christmas album. You're joking, right? Surely you're joking. Anyways, I want to put this one up here just for a little bit while I bring the screen back here and start to read. Since we're on the topic of Theresa Tam, Christmas album, I can only imagine. But anyways, like I say, since we're there, but yeah, definitely, folks, check out Fraser McBurney and the event that's happening in front of Hamilton City Hall Sunday at 12 noon. Check it out. Come and join them and have some fun for sure. For sure. So here we go. Let me check out this article. So this is, like I say, out of the Toronto Sun. Let me just get the font a little bigger here. Dr. Theresa Tam must now resign. Our great land now has 7 serious national crises of system, of which the pandemic is by far the minor. So this is submitted by Irvin Student, November 29th, 2021. I have already called for the resignation of Dr. Kieran Moore and most of Ontario's medical health officers for grave sins of public policy, especially in respect of our children and young people. My directness responds to the cruelty of official incuriosity and stupidity, the stupidity that boxes in our youngsters with perverse choices and then boxes them out to the street if they choose wrong. If this stupidity rears its head in the new year with new hysterical calls to again close schools, Omicron or something else oblige, I will consider these calls wholly illegitimate for the issue in human catastrophe only. Issue in or usher in? Seems like it should have been usher. But anyways, I now call for the resignation of Canada's Chief Public Health Officer, Dr. Theresa Tam. The ink has yet to dry on the launch of Canada's pediatric vaccination campaign, a campaign launched with no public debate or deliberation at all. But Tam is already extemporizing about a next vaccination campaign for toddlers and babies, calling that next one a possible turning point in the pandemic. With respect, the good doctor has no idea of what she is saying, regardless of the exuberance of her expression. Our country is less in the throes of a pandemic than in the throes of a proper vaccination mania. And in mania, there is no turning point. Nay, we have allowed vaccination to become the end in and of itself. For Tam and the feeble government for which she speaks, vaccination is now our national idea. Amer Usk Admire, I must be French, has become Amer Usk and Mayor Usk at vaccine. Well, I know mare is horse in French. Anyways, a horse is a horse. Could be. A horse is a horse, of course. Anyways, whatever. A horse is a horse if you had a vaccine. Is that what that means? I don't know. I'm just guessing here, folks. I did do pretty good in French, but I just never continued studying it, so I've lost it. Anyway, what are the sources of our national vaccination mania? Answer: American social media first, and the collapse of Canadian political thinking and leadership second. Full stop. I mean, I'm not a big fan of blaming social media. I kind of get it, folks. It's just people revealing their inner true selves, a lot of them, right? Or who they strive to be, whatever it is. Like I say, and I get social media can be manipulative. It can be manipulative to people like me. But I mean, if you understand that it can be manipulative in any way, then you can try to at least fight or anyways, forget about that. Let me just continue on. If the autocrats of the late 20th century would say Give me control of TV and I shall tell you what the people think. In the early 21st century, it is he who controls the social media platforms who decides what the people will think. I mean, all that is saying to me is, see, this is the thing. You can blame social media, but all you're saying is it was the TV's fault before that, right? This is the problem I have with these like people that think like that. And once again, nothing against. I mean, he's pointing out some really important stuff, but this is the area where, like I say, this is why conversations are really important, because even people that you would typically agree with, which I did at the first part of this, it's not hard to find disagreements, right? This is actually perfect. It's a perfect example, and how these one size fits all approaches or narratives, how with millions or billions. Hell, you can't even find two people who would probably typically agree on a lot of things to agree on everything. So come on, like I say, collectivism failed. But I mean, if you're willing to blame social media, or prior to that, it was the TV's fault. And what is it? The radio before that? And what was it? Where people used to get together and gossip before that. Stop blaming the venues or the avenues they use or the platforms. At the end of the day, it's just that's what people are like. You just give them the opportunity, and that's what people are like. Just like today, give people the ability to use vaccine status as a club to beat all of the people over their heads, the unvaccinated. Well, look at people are doing that too. It's not social media's fault. I mean, I guess in some way, some people just like to practice control on others. Matter of fact, that's a large part of what separates human beings. That's a big point of division, is those of us who just want to live and let live, and those who want to constantly seek out control and manipulate others, right? You can break that down into many other areas or categories. But once again, just pointing out the obvious that just like a gun, right? An inanimate object such as a gun. Now, I can't say that social media is particularly inanimate when you add in algorithms, right? So that does change up the equation to a degree. And I will admit that that algorithms and manipulating and tweaking the algorithms to stir up division, I definitely admit that works. But come on, we're all wise enough to know this at this point in time. So it shouldn't be quite as effective. So I'm suggesting the reason why it's effective is not that people don't realize that at this point in junction or time of junction, is that people actually like that kind of division. There's a substantial portion of our population, just like now, just like in the past, who love division, who, like I say, love stirring up the pot. You never worked or been around people who seem to be nonstop contrarians. Literally everything you say, they want to say the exact or opposite thing, or they're the type of people that are constantly looking to stir the pot, right? We all know these people, right? And yeah, they exist not just in our own personal settings or situations, but they're everywhere, folks. Anyways, let me continue on. And when Facebook and Twitter, the California-based platforms that control the lion's share of Canada's information space, decided late last year that they were doing vaccines, our country's intellectual and political fate was sealed. Henceforth, no other ideas or words need apply in Canada. Vaccines, and after we're done, more vaccines still. Good one. A happy capture of our country's information space by two American social media platforms promoting and moralizing the products, however ingenious or imperfect, of two American pharmaceutical companies finds its counterparts in the near total collapse in political leadership and thinking in Canada. On my count, our great land now has seven serious national crises of system, of which the pandemic is by far the minor. Yes, the minor. On top of the general public health crisis, where COVID-19 is about one of 100 pressures. Exactly. That's a great point. Because we all know the healthcare system in this country, the socialist healthcare system, has been failing the people for a long time. I knew that years and years and years ago. Hallway medicine was something that existed long before COVID, folks. We have a historic education crisis. Yeah, indoctrination, right? What's that? I mean, there was Bill's, what was it? Bill C-16 or whatever, compelled speech, right? Cultural Marxism, postmodernism. What's the other one? Trying to think of that other one that they're trying to teach in school. Critical race theory. Yeah, that's the one. Critical race. Wow, folks. Wow. Where it's just, they just teach our kids these days that, if you're white and especially a male, you're the worst person ever, right? Yeah, that's indoctrination, right? That's programming. That's not education. Massive economic and fiscal. Yeah. economic and fiscal. I mean, we basically live in the full fiat. You just print money and spend it however you see fit. There's no such thing as worrying about debts or deficits anymore, right? Like Trudeau says, I don't even pay attention. It's like we are in an extremely weird world when you're talking about economics and fiscal aspects of economics. Dangerous national unity pressures. Yeah, no shit. No shit. The West, there's large portions of the West in this country that just want to separate entirely from the country of Canada. And to a degree, I can kind of understand that, right? Widespread institutional collapse. Oh, yeah, big time. And an ever-growing social crisis. In foreign affairs, Canada is now, a strategic cripple. Only in our dreams on social media and in mania can we have conceived of vaccinations as the answer to any or most of these growing national crises of system. And yet, as we continue to double and triple down on vaccination as our across-the-board savior, it is the mania itself and not the vaccination that bleeds into every dimension of Canadian life: social, economic, institutional, pedagogical, political, and even familial. In mania, some children can suffer myocarditis from vaccination without a blip from officialdom. In mania, scores of thousands of kids can be ousted from all schooling permanently without a care by responsible ministries, and school boards. In mania, a country wastes 2 years without producing its own vaccines, its own prophylactics, therapeutics, or treatment protocols, and yet ties entire ships of state and society indefinitely to 2 foreign brands. And in mania, a pious prime minister, instead of building the high-speed rail and 21st century infrastructure needed for a country to succeed, decides that his big idea is to ban large parts of his population from the use of a 19th century train system. Almost done, folks. Having led our country's first major vaccine summit in January of this year, I am clearly sympathetic to the importance of vaccination as a tool, necessary but far from sufficient in the pandemic. But I am against mania altogether, and I'm against the mindless moralizing slogans of those who fan the mania we have allowed to accompany vaccination in Canada. The chief sloganeer at the federal level must resign now, and serious, sober thinking must be reinstated in our beloved country. Irvin Student is president of the Institute for 21st Century Questions, editor-in-chief and publisher of Global Brief magazine, and chair of the Worldwide Commission to Educate All Kids Post-Pandemic. His latest book is Canada Must Think for Itself, 10 Theses for Our Country's Survival and Success This Century. So once again, that will definitely be linked in the description of the stream below as well. Let me get back to the original article that I was reading. There we go. I think this one should be almost done. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. There we go. There we go. Okay. Okay. Okay, so yeah, that's where the government, of course, will never walk back its emergency powers of its own volition. And why would they? After 2 years of fomenting terror and division among the population, they have cultivated a solid base of support that combines the post 9/11 see something, say something paranoia of a middle class yuppie with the unctuous 1980s moral majority sense of superiority. Until public opinion turns sharply against government overreach, we will continue to live in an artificially prolonged state of emergency, beholden to the whims of bureaucrats and elected officials. So, like I say, folks, wild, right? Now, the part I was looking forward to get to is, and I'm going to click on the one that's most liked, but there's 7,454 comments on this submitted piece to CBC. And I got to tell you, with that much engagement, it tells me that there's a lot of people in Canada who want to voice their opinions regarding this story. And I have not seen in a long time. I don't even know if I've ever seen an article. I probably have, but I got to tell you, to see over 7,400 comments on this article, once again, it suggests to me that Canadians, give them even just the slightest chance to vocalize, their opinion or perspective in as regards to this stuff, especially when they're finally hearing something that they have not been privy to before. Well, look, there it is, folks. There it is. Now let's read what they are saying. Let me get the font's a little bigger here. So this one is from RW. Finally, people are starting to wake up and see the truth. Just about time. Thank you, Alan Richards, for naming things as they really are. 236 thumbs up. Well, you know how it is with the thumbs up. Most people don't even bother to take the time, which I've always found a weird thing. Like, why not? At least, even if it's thumbs up or thumb down, well, you can't actually, you probably can't thumbs down on CBC because they got rid of commenting entirely because people might get their feelings hurt. Same with YouTube. You can't see how many dislikes there are anymore. And we all know why that is, because if you look at the amount of dislikes to likes on most of the establishment media videos on YouTube, yeah. So they didn't like the fact that most people were seeing it. Oh, look, those who are into social media actually on YouTube don't like the establishment media very much, do they? Which is why they got rid of our ability to perceive that. Anyways, let me read another few more here. Never thought I'd see an article here on the SEEB. See how see, an opinion that many people can relate to. I'm with you. I'm right there with you, Jenna Collins. I never thought I'd see it either, but here it is, folks. Here it is. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, right? D-Day has arrived in the media. Right on, Jack Ford. Right on. Finally. That's the thing. Canadians are just they're like myself, basically shocked, almost falling off their fucking feet or falling off their seat just to see this. I mean, come on, CBC. Think about how much fail. Like, you folks at the CBC, the fact that the Canadians just anxiously chomping at the bit, just anticipating and hoping that someday you'll allow just one look at. Imagine if you would allow a lot more of this stuff to take place. Maybe Canadians, perhaps someday might come around to actually trusting you people and actually supporting you voluntarily rather than just against their will, right? If you would just take the time to, offer up these kind of alternative opinions and perspectives, and not just as it pertains to COVID, but climate change, economics. I mean, all of these issues that was discussed and pointed out by the author. You really need to step up the plate, CBC. And it's in your own best interest, and it's in the interest of this country, in remaining at least something remotely resembling something akin to a free society, right? Really important. Helene Odette. Thank you, Mr. Rickards. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Look at that. Canadians are so desperate for just the snippet of truth that they're willing to just, their only comment is just to say, thank you, Mr. Rickards. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Think about that. Anyways, before I continue on, let me see if there's see what you folks are saying in the chat in there. Say I like to talk to you folks. Oh, what's this? Another one? Oh, thank you once again, Mr. Fraser McBurney. You are very kind and very generous, and I'll be putting your donations once I get a payout from YouTube, and that's once it reaches $100, which will probably be next month because I've had a few last month and this month. Is I'll be putting this towards paying for now that I'm already paying for StreamYards, will help pay for that, but I'm even contemplating possibly doing some live streams over on Rumble. I really want to try out that platform now that they've all merged, like Rumble and Locals, and now they've even got they're going to be going public. Not sure if you folks are aware of that. I'll probably do a standalone video pointing that stuff out. But yeah, Locals and Rumble now have some serious institutional investors. Now, some of us are a little bit worried and hesitant and concerned about that, but at the same time, it's going to give them some actual power, some actual economic power and might, right, to challenge some of these behemoths, right? And they are a free speech platform. So here's the holding out hope. But yeah, like I say, I might get to doing some live streams over there. LOL, breaking news, COVID-19 type A and B, flu, and all the rest of the flu have been deemed endemic and the emergency is over. Only if it were true. Oh, I wish, Fraser. I wish. And I'm hoping that someday, well, that's the thing. What that is all completely heavily relying on is if we, those of us who are standing for truth and liberty, actually win in the information war. Actually, if enough people come around to realize that we're the ones that have been telling them the truth all along, and the ones that had the right intentions all along, right? if that happens, then we may very well come to see that someday. But it's going to depend on the political winds in which way they're blowing. Because that's the thing in Canada. We do live in a democracy. And the ruling class and the media class, even these social media platforms, they're going to want to cater to the mob, the majority, right? And if the mob and the majority are seemingly, at least seemingly, wanting more strife, division, and divisive narratives, well, that's what we're going to see going forward, and more of the same. But like I say, I'm holding out hope, just like you, that things will eventually change, and we will get to that point. Anyways, thanks again for the donation. Really appreciate it, Fraser. I live in a very failed republic. You know, the sad thing is, though, Rika, is even your failed republic, and I'll admit, is failing and falling hard. It's still head and shoulders, as far as I'm concerned, above most of the world that I'm aware of. And I hold out hope that fine folks like yourself and a lot of those great liberty lovers down in the U.S. will fight this. I got to tell you, out of all the countries in the world, I have the most hope for the U.S. It's the only country in the world that has liberty entrenched, right? Although I got to say and admit that the education system has been trying to beat that out of them for a long time. How well they've done, I'm not sure on that. Obviously, they've done a pretty good job, but I just got to think at the end of the day, liberty is still at the heart and core and this part of the core psyche of the American. I hope so. I hope so, folks. Turn off your cable TV, get whatever streaming service you want. It's still got programming propaganda, but it's controlled by you. Well said, Anarchy. I agree. 100%. Hey, Stuart, what's going on, my friend? Immediately shouted down by the Marxist Leninists. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you, Stuart. Anna, oh, she's in upstate New York. Right on. Right on, Rika. Upstate New York. It's actually a pretty good place. I know I used to, where was it? Ticonderoga is in upstate New York. I used to pick up out of there when I drove for Sunbury Transport. And I think it was a paper mill, was it? I believe it was a paper mill. Anyways, there's some beautiful places, but when you leave there, you go across. I think it was Route 4 takes you all over into Vermont and New Hampshire, and then ultimately out through Maine. It's a beautiful country there for sure. CBC had an anti-government piece today too, mixed in with the usual lies. Well, I don't know, not sure actually, Stuart, because you're kind of late joining the stream, but the one I was reading right from the beginning, and you might want to go back and check it out after the stream's over, was a CBC piece, and I got to tell you, I'm impressed with the person that submitted it. Really, really, really impressed. The looters are looting the looters. Right. CL should be on TV. Hey, thank you very much, Stuart Passmore. But for the vote of confidence, I really do. I try my best. I really do. As most ventures I undertake in my life, I do try to do a decent job, and I really appreciate the fact that I get some positive feedback for that. All I really want at the end of the day is just to be taken serious by at least, a decent amount of my peers, and just to not be overlooked, ignored, and treated like a second-class citizen. I just want to be, and like I say, I'll admit there's some selfishness to what I do. Why? Because I want to live free. I want my family, my loved ones to live free. So that's a little bit selfish, but at the same time, I want you folks to be able to live free as well. Because if we're all that's the thing. I don't worry about my neighbor coming to screw with me, because I treat my neighbor with dignity and respect, and give my neighbor the freedoms, and don't infringe or crouch on them. That's the thing. That's the reciprocal aspect. So the reason why I do what I do, right, is not necessarily for praise and applause. Not that I don't like it like anybody else. Of course, I like to get the proverbial pat on the back, or even the actual physical pat on the back once in a while. That's a nice thing. But at the end of the day, just like I would suggest for the overwhelming majority of those, even in the chats here, we just want our voices to be heard. We just want to be taken serious. And stop, like I say, stop treating us like as if we're just these terrible people, like malevolent, terrible people who just like to cause shit or something. That could not be any further for the case for me. And I got to tell you, I don't know everyone in the chat here personally, but I got to tell you, based on the people in the chat and how long I've known them, because some of the people in the chat, some people like Anarcha, Rika, I've known for over a decade, right? I've known her for longer than I've known actual people in my life, like, you know what I mean, that I work with and such. And I got to tell you, I can't imagine that people spend, just like myself, year after year after year promoting things and advocating for liberty and freedom for what? Just to be what? Malevolent? Because I don't know where you get malevolence out of personal responsibility, accountability, and prudent economics. Not this fucking Keynesian or MMT fake false economics where it's centrally planned, rip everyone off. Like I say, all the things that the people that tend to promote, or people like Fraser McBurney, or like I say, Stuart Passmore, or Wendy here. Hi, beautiful souls. Hi, Wendy. All these people, like I say, that constantly spend large portions of their day advocating for freedom and liberty. What possible motive could be behind that? What are they gaining? Right? That's the thing when people try to attribute nefarious or underhanded tactics to people like who are liberty-loving people, or libertarians, or people who are anarchists or voluntarists. What? At what point, or like I say, where's this evidence? Because if the evidence was there, the established media or the established ruler class, they'd put it out to everybody, front and center. But I have yet to see anyone. Sure, they try to target and suggest that we're terrible people, but I've never seen any evidence to back up any of their claims. So yeah. But anyways, sorry for going a bit of tirade there, Stuart, but really appreciate it. And I like I say, really appreciate your vote of confidence in me. Oh, whoa, is Raging Dissident, Raging Humanist look like the same dude? Now, I know the man's name. I won't say it because I don't know. I haven't watched any of his videos. Actually, we did an interview. Did I interview him on my channel? I believe I interviewed him on my channel. I'm pretty sure. Or was it on his channel? Or was it on, there was another guy too, Rance Derrick or something, I remember. Anyways, let me go to my channel. Raging Humanist videos. Let's see if I did. Okay. Let's see. No. So it must have been on his channel. I guess. I thought I did, actually. It's weird. Or maybe I just didn't use those tags. Anyways, moving on. Where are we at here? Oh, back to the comments. Yes. Well, comments from you folks, and then of course the comments here. Let me take these out right here. I'll add them here in a bit. Sorry there, folks. I sent link to your Facebook. Oh, Bible Farm. Awesome. Thank you for your work, brother. My pleasure. Thank you for joining the stream. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that thumbs up and subscribing, that would be really appreciated as well. So you can get notified when I do more future streams or upload new videos. Okay. Anyways, scrolling. At least the states have temporarily blocked the mandates. Yes, that was great. That is great. I got to tell you, yeah. I know what you're saying, Rika, and it's definitely difficult down there as well. But yeah, I wouldn't. If I were you, I wouldn't want to trade with my place to be in this country. Anyways, so let's get back to, like I say, I want to read these comments, a few of them. Let me see. There's another way. I guess I can do a picture-in-picture here. Down here. Does that help in any way? Not really. It just basically, well, it does make it a little bigger, I guess. But can you still see the actual comments? Yeah, I think you still can. Anyways, I'm going to continue. Read just a few more because, like I say, I'm really impressed here. This guy should be the head of CBC journalists. Take note, Aaron. Here is a fact-filled opinion, not a liberal biased propaganda. Holy jumping. Submitted by John NG. I'm just amazed here, actually, that it's really weird. Now that CBC has totally taken off their comments off of their Facebook page, but seem to be allowing a little more of them here. But I guess it's on this article, though. So I guess actually that's the thing. When it's a submitted opinion piece, there might be rules in CBC that, yeah, you can't go around deleting or micromanaging the comments for a submitted opinion piece like you can for your own journalist submissions. That could be it too. Just me thinking out loud, folks. But I got to tell you, I'm really impressed. Look at this one, Roger Badger. Best article I've read on this news site in 2 years. And as you noticed, news site is in quotations, right? Wow, astonishing. Their precious narrative is crumbling. Oh, Arthur Steinbeck. They're letting this article slip through because they know the tides have turned and they don't want to be seen as complicit in the intentional deceit of the public. Thankfully, we have the receipts. And I've been keeping track all along, folks. All along, all recorded, all uploaded, all saved on multiple drives and backup drives. So, right, even if my computer suddenly crashed or went down, right, mysteriously, that still won't even get rid of all the information and data that I've saved. So it's good to have. Look at this one, Casper Kane. Looks like the anti-vaxxers weren't all that wrong after all. No need to call them anti-vaxxers, but whatever. I get it. I get it. And yeah, right. The people calling anti-COVID people anti-vaxxers are intentionally misleading. Yeah, that's true too. What is this? A well-rounded, articulate, non-liberal, biased article? Am I on the wrong website? Like, look at this. Like how? Look at this. Paul McSweeney. Hey, look at that. Unbelievable, right? Unbelievable. It's great to see, though, folks. It's great to see this, but it just goes to show you how many Canadians get their news from the CBC and rely heavily on it, right? They do not want anyone. They do not want anyone presenting evidence that goes against their desire to tell everyone what to do. Bill C-10, the media narrative, is part of the mandate agenda. This is the first article like this on the media site, as opposed to the 7+ each and every day for the past 2 years. Exactly. Great for pointing that out, Bert Law. Jane Smith. Wow. Astounded this article is here. I feel like someone must have sneaked it in as it is completely out of character for CBC. Well, I got to tell you, folks, it is Friday, right? It is Friday. And, data dumps or stuff such as this, or stuff they want you to overlook, never see, or forget by Monday. Yeah, Friday seems to be the day to do it, right? So just pointing that out. Agree wholeheartedly, Jim Keenan said. William Wishart. I am surprised CBC ran this opinion piece that is contrary to the popular line that the government is altruistic and always has our back. Kudos to you, CBC, for showing a balanced opinion or something that concerns us all. Government overreach. And yeah, right on. Like I say, I will give credit where credit is due. That's what I do, right? Thank goodness that someone in the CBC did allow this to slip through and allow this to take place. Really thankful, because once again, this is going to help in our fight. It really is, folks. It really is. Great article, Kevin Parker. Trudeau is the worst PM this country has ever seen. That's true, Renee Lebon. That's true. You'll get no arguments from me. Wow, I am shocked to read such an article such as this on CBC. Normally, such speech would end up as content deactivated, disabled. Yeah. Kudos. So well written. What I have been trying to say on here for almost 2 years, but many posts disappear. Yeah, right on, Juan Manila. In a democratic country, it is both an obligation and a responsibility to question any government policy. Well said, John Hammerman. Anyways, folks, I thought that was pretty impressive, right? Really impressive. And actually, you know what? I was going to cover 2 different stories, but because, like I say, this one seemed to going to cover or tie up this live stream for a long enough time that I'm going to save the next one. I'll just give you a little teaser. The next part, or the next live stream, and I might even make a standalone video or two as it pertains to it. But this is the story I'm going to be talking about for it. Let me find it. And once again, I got to tell you, it's coming out of, actually, should I put it up there? It might. No, I'm actually going to leave that as a teaser because I don't want anything to happen. But I got to tell you, it's another article, and it's, as you folks that have been watching my channel for a while, you realize that there was a story out of the Winnipeg lab that came out not too long after COVID-19. It was reported on very sparsely. Even the follow-ups have been sparse, and a lot of secrecy involved as it pertains to the Winnipeg, that level 4 laboratory in Winnipeg, and the firing of two Chinese scientists in that laboratory. And like I say, it's been pretty much mum's the word ever since. Little trickles of information about the RCMP who are investigating that particular whatever's happened, whatever took place at that particular level 4 lab. I believe it's Canada's only level 4 lab. But yes, it's a very interesting story, and there's more new information coming to light that I can shed on it. And like I say, I'll save that for my next live stream because I'm already at an hour and 26 minutes now. And to be perfectly honest with you, folks, I'm probably just going to do a couple short little things here now and tie it up because I don't want to keep them going on too long. The police and military are generally on the people's side. I would say the military are generally, I would say the police, that can be hit or miss. That could be hit or miss. Because it depends on, how they were hired, when they were hired, what the goals were when they were hired, right? I mean, peace officers back in the day, yes. But today's law enforcement and the way they're trained, maybe not as much. But military, because military, I mean, it's literally, they're told in the military, if you go in the military, you're fighting for freedom and liberty, right? That's the whole thing, right? That's how you get them on board with joining the state and being good little statists and order followers, is suggesting that they're fighting for freedom and liberty. So the minute, freedom and liberty are being taken away, you gotta think that for at least a substantial portion of those in the military is like, wait a minute. I'm supposed to fight against tyranny, both domestic and international, or foreign or domestic, right? So what's going on here? So yeah, I'm with you there on the military. The cops, I'm still not 100% sure on that one. It's these judges that judges are definitely playing a role. Activist judges, if the ones that aren't following the actual fact that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, those are activist judges are definitely screwing up big time for sure. After the establishment, hey, Pete Don V, thank you for joining the stream. Later, Wendy. Oh, it's too bad. Wendy must have stepped away. Anyways, thank you for joining the stream, Wendy, and sad to see you go, but I understand entirely. Have a great night. Oh, have a great evening. There she is. Have a great evening. I have to pick my boys up, hubby and son. Always love being here. Much love, everyone. Well, thank you very much, Wendy. Appreciate it. Sending out the love to you and your family as well. And like I say, wishing you all the best. Okay. Rumble streams good. I watched Salty Cracker on Rumble with 18,000 people. Wow, that's really impressive. Healer, Alma Bay. That's awesome. I would like to, like I say, I'm going to try it out. I'm definitely going to try it. But anyways, folks, what else do we got here? So I got that. Okay, so the other article that I won't have to necessarily bring it up. So unvaccinated travelers over the age of 12 barred from planes and trains as of today. So once again, that article that I just read actually deals with the unconstitutionality and the fact that they're basically trying to tell us who aren't vaccinated that we can't even leave our own country. I mean, how unconstitutional is that? What if I said, I want the frig out of this place? Anyways, but that'll be placed in the link as well. So this is an article as it pertains to the unvaccinated people not being able to travel. We got the QR code thing. I got the booster jabs will be needed every year, according to the Pfizer's boss. We got the Lancet article. Oh, actually, I'm going to bring this one up. Like I say, I'll try to keep this rather short, but this is something that is completely in line with this, so I'll bring this up. But check this out. So you folks, I'm not sure if you folks are aware, but apparently the Trudeau Liberals have even tried to make it or force anyone when they're having their sitting in there in question period in the House of Commons or whatever, that you have to be vaccinated, right? And the Conservatives, O'Toole, conservative, whatever, liberal light O'Toole or whatever, right? Lefty light. I don't even like using these words and terms, liberal and conservative, because neither of them seem either or. They seem like a bunch of authoritarian collectivists as far as I'm concerned. But anyways, he was trying a little like feeble attempt to try to push back on it. There were some people within the Conservative Party who really were staunchly opposing these vaccine mandates. And apparently, even though the Trudeau Liberals tried to force and impose that on the MPs, well, there's this, folks, and this is coming out of the National Post. Speaker rules board exceeded its authority in imposing COVID vaccine mandate for Commons. The Conservatives can now follow up on Anthony Rota's ruling with a motion to either censor the Board of Internal Economy or refer the matter to a Commons committee. So National Post, but it was originally it's a Canadian Press article that was produced December 2nd, 2021. Ottawa House of Commons Speaker Anthony Rota says the Chamber's governing body overstepped its authority when it required anyone entering the Commons precinct to be fully vaccinated. Ooh, there you go. Look at that. Rota has sided with the Conservatives in concluding that the all-party Board of Internal Economy did not have the authority to impose a vaccine mandate. He says only the House itself can make a decision to restrict access to the Chamber and other parliamentary buildings. However, Rota's ruling changes nothing for MPs or anyone else wanting access to the precinct. Last week, Liberal and New Democrats joined forces to approve a motion to resume hybrid sittings, which also specified that anyone entering the precinct must be fully immunized against COVID-19 or have a valid medical exemption. Rota, who chairs the Board of Internal Economy, says it's important to consider the context of the board's decision, which was taken before the Commons resumed sitting and was intended to keep people safe once they did return to work. The Conservatives now follow up on Rota's ruling with a motion to either censor the board or refer the matter to a Commons committee. So once again, folks, that's an interesting turn of events. Well, actually, we'll stick with the topic at hand. I did have another article, but it's a little off topic. There is another one here. How Canada changed its position on pandemic travel bans. So it's basically relating to the travel bans, the restrictions on our movement in Canada. I'll definitely make sure to put that in and then we got the Dr. Treason must resign. That was a great one. I actually had a TVO video and a lady that was on there. I wanted to point that out in the ridiculousness of what she was saying, but I'll deal with that at another time too. And actually, there is one more article from Fury. I'll just bring that up real quick. I won't necessarily read it. I'll just give you kind of a heading and mention that it will be in the description of the stream as well. Yeah, this one here. So Fury, Canada is long overdue that we drop the COVID alarmism cycle. This was a piece that's submitted to Toronto Sun, November 29th, 2021. So, obviously, talking about the tamping down on the alarmism and the fear mongering. And I would definitely agree with that. But like I said, that'll definitely be linked in the description of the video below. And that's pretty much ties it up, folks. And I think that's pretty good because we're at an hour and 33 minutes. So roughly around an hour and a half. And once again, I really appreciate all you folks. Oh, let's see what Fraser McBurney's saying here. The Liberal and the Conservatives and the NDP and the Bloc are a unit party. Well, that's the thing. It almost seems that way, doesn't it? It almost seems that way. And that's the problem when you have these, parties all coming together, right? I mean, if they all come together, well, that's it for the people. Well, then the people better start coming together themselves, right? That's the thing. If the political parties are going to come together against your freedoms and liberties, well, the Canadian people better come together in defense of those freedoms and liberties. And that's what I got to say for that. Doug Ford dropped gas price 11 cents. That's somewhat conservative. Yeah. Well, actually, you can thank the Americans mostly for that, I would suggest, Stuart. The large contributing factor to the 11-cent drop, probably no doubt that the U.S. has pumped out 50 million barrels out of their strategic reserve, right? That when you flood the the market. That's supply and demand. When you flood the market, even if it will be short lived, obviously, because 50 million barrels, when you consider how much the world consumes, even just it's like a drop in the bucket, right? But that definitely plays a role when you and apparently OPEC has decided that they're not going to turn off their taps too much. So those things all contribute a whole lot more than what politicians. But I get what you're saying there, Steve. Anyways, let's see what else we got. But yeah, thank you. Thanks for the stream. Really appreciate that. And good night to you, Anarcha. Good night to you. Be well, humanoids. Right. And same with you. Have a great night, folks. Great stream, sir. Thank you very much. And thank you, Stuart. Thanks to all you fine folks that have joined the stream. Like I say, I really appreciate all you great folks. And I'll be definitely doing a lot more going forward, staying on top of this stuff because I realize how vitally important it is. And there's very few of us that are still active in doing it. And I'm going to stick around for a lot longer, folks. So hopefully you folks will stick around and maybe even more people will come around and start joining us. Because like I say, it seems like the narrative is crumbling. And Liberty may very well, we may get our chance, folks. We may very well get our chance to have our voices genuinely heard. And if that's the case, well, like I say, once that happens, once our voices are no longer suppressed, ignored, or overlooked, that's when things, I believe, will truly start to change and shift towards the side of good and towards the side of liberty. Or at least I darn well hope so. Anyways, you folks have a good night and have a great weekend. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.